Here is Jason from Rhode Island. Hello, Jason.
Hello. I'm Jason. I'm an atheist. So I had a question kind of for how to debate people, and it kind of centers around the definition of possible and impossible, because I've heard several people use them kind of interchangeably with different definitions, and I think it would be helpful if they at least realized they were doing that.
So
I'm not explaining.
So can we clarify real quick here before we get too much into this? Because there's two types of possibility and impossibility. There's physical possibility and impossibility, and then there's logical possibility and impossibility. Do you know which one that the person you're engaging with is referring to?
Yeah, I don't. I myself have never actually heard it broken up that way. So you might actually already be ahead of the game on where I was going.
Okay.
So in some forms of logic, the only thing that they mean when they say possible and impossible is that it doesn't create any logical contradictions. Right. So there's some people who talk about like, I absolutely hate possible world semantics. But there are some people who will talk about it in the sense of, well, it's not a contradiction. It could theoretically exist. It just doesn't exist here, but it could exist. And then there's this whole, what is that called? Modal logic terms about wondering about possible worlds. I don't dig too deeply into philosophical circles, so I'm really glad BrainBug is here to do the digging for.
My knowledge is more of where it overlaps with the empirical possibilities. So the difference between a logical possibility is that there's no law of logic that it would have to be violated in order for something to happen. And laws of logic is like the law of no contradiction and things like that. Like it can't be A and not be A. It has to be A if it's A. It can't be A and then and not be A. So for something to fill that role would be able to break a law of logic, the law of non-contradiction. So that would be a logical impossibility. Whereas a physical impossibility is like there's no logical reason why I can't grow wings from my back right now and just fly out the window. But there are physical reasons why I can't do that. So that would be the physical impossibility. There's nothing in the natural world that would indicate that should be something that's possible, but it doesn't violate any laws of logic because there's no reason why that shouldn't be possible under the logical framework.
So Jason, are you having a lot of conversations where this pops up?
Not as much anymore. I used to spend a lot of time on out on a boat, just floating around the ocean though. And, we had some bored people just sitting on a boat. Sometimes the conversation turns, oddly philosophical.
That happens when you're hanging out long nights, just filling conversation. And yeah, I get it. Start speculating on the possibilities of the universe.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where we lead to, it leads to one of the things that really sucks for me is that the English language is kind of limited, and where there might be different, like BrainBug was saying, there's a difference between a physical and a logical impossibility. We use the same word to describe it, though. We use impossible or possible, and there's a branch of apologetics that likes to talk about possible, and that by saying, oh, how did they put it? If it is possible that God exists in some possible world, then in order to be maximally great, he has to exist in all possible worlds. And if he exists in all possible worlds, by definition, he exists in this world. Right.
It's God into existence. Yeah.
Right. And they forget that, like they smuggled in exists as one of those things that makes something great or necessary. So I was just wondering where you came up with this. I mean, whenever I run into this in circles, it's usually with not the most honest interlocutors. So I was just wondering who you're talking to this comes up with.
Well, I don't want to like give their name or anything.
No.
Just
kind of position that they're holding.
What kind of conversations?
Or is it a a theist or an atheist or to be a deist?
Oh, it was I think I mostly heard it from theists, although I did have one very frustrating conversation with someone who made every comment about how God is real and heaven is real and a bunch of other things, and then at the end of it, pulled a complete surprise card. And by the way, I'm Buddhist. I was like, wait, what?
Well, Buddhist.
Very confused by that guy.
Buddhists, there are sects of Buddhism that are atheists too. So it's a very flexible belief system, depending on what you're basing that on. But yeah, like Puck, I've mostly heard this argument from apologists, usually seasoned apologists who've kind of honed that argument. And so hearing that you're engaging with just lay people is a little easier to help you address it, because when you're dealing with apologists, whatever responses that we could give you, they may have further gotcha moments that they're going for with the whole argument, because we're almost working our way back into a when you start talking about whatever's logically possible has to be like what Puck was saying about God existing in one universe. He has to exist in all of them. So you start getting into almost like a Hume's issue, where you're facing either some infinite source or you're dealing with infinite regress. I guess to me, having an infinite source, a creator or designer, or infinite regress, it's the same thing. It's just personifying an infinite regress when you put a God on it.
No, I hear you, and you I guess suppose I have to apologize, because as soon as we see that someone wants to talk about what is possible and impossible, that the hackles kind of go up a little bit, because we BrainBug and I have been around these conversations before, and we're like, oh, is this going to be one of those? But it wasn't, and we're glad that. And thank you very much for coming in here with this interesting question. I'm not sure we really helped you much with it, other than to say that it really, you're going to have to ask the person who you're talking about, what do they mean by impossible,
right?
And be careful that they're not trying to pin you down, because usually when they give you a dichotomy like that, they have an answer for one or the other, and they completely rule out anything in the middle, right? Like my favorite example is there is an objectively correct number of people who were bitten by mosquitoes in the United States in the past 24 hours. There's a number. Is it possible for us to find out what that number is? Now, logically, it's not impossible to find that out. We would need a ridiculous amount of surveillance and technology that's beyond us. I can't even imagine. But physically, it's not by the book impossible. So you have to kind of figure out what exactly impossible means to them.
Well, thank you, but we've kind of danced around the exact question I had.
Oh, have we? Okay, so sorry about that. Clear it up for us.
Honestly, though, I'm very glad we went on that divergence, because it is extremely close. In fact, I fully admit, and I apologize if this is the case, that I might just be thinking of it in a slightly different, like I might be thinking about the same thing, but using different words and not recognizing that we're talking about the same thing. And if that's the case, by all means, clear it up for me, please. But anyway, but I am glad that you brought up that the argument for God that was based off of, possibilities, because that's actually, I'm pretty sure that was the most ridiculous instance I've ever seen of this. So
that's generally the direction when you're talking about this topic that it goes. Yeah. You're eventually going to get there.
Yeah. So if for more homework on this, look up the modal ontological argument. Off the top of my head, I know that Capturing Christianity and Inspiring Philosophy have both done. They're both proponents of the modal ontological argument, so you can see it presented in its best case. And then to see what we think of it, I'm sure you don't have to go very far, but my personal favorite would be Apologia's takedown of the modal ontological argument. So we'll leave you a little bit of homework over there. We got to get going, but thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Before you go, I just want to make sure, did we actually get to the meat that you wanted to get to, or did we fail to address your point?
We didn't get to it, but that's probably my part. I didn't explain it very well at the beginning. And like I said, we weren't like way off. We were pretty close to on topic the whole time. I just couldn't really stop you guys from talking.
I hope at the very least that we built you a nice framework.
What you said was interesting, though.
Yeah. I hope at the very least we built you a nice framework to build your concept of possible and impossible, and some questions to follow up when you're presented with that argument, because you do need to clarify. You're talking about logical impossibility. You're talking about a physical impossibility. We need, you want to push for those details. That will color your response.
Yeah. And we just talked about ways you can keep in contact with us. So if it does occur to you to a different way to explain it or ask it, definitely hit us up in one of the different ways you can do that. So because I want to keep this going. The conversations we have here are brief by necessity, but they don't have to end just because we hang up. So please keep this dialogue going. I look forward to hearing from you in Discord, email, or Facebook. Thank you very much, Jason.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.